Hello, my name is Katja and you are welcome to my channel. There is this thing on costume, about 21 questions from your costumer, and I decided to take part. So here's my 21 questions, and to give you something to look at, I will make a pair of Viking age shoes. So I have the questions here on my phone, and let's start. So the first question is, what is your favorite genre of costuming? For me, it's historical costuming. I haven't really done anything else except make some fancy costumes for my kids. Number 2. What originally got you into the costuming? Well, I have been sewing for a long time, but then I sort of got bored with modern sewing patterns and I wanted to do more couture stuff. But then I didn't have much use for like channel jackets or things like that, and I didn't really like modern couture. I found Bernard Banner's videos, and the more I watched, the more my interest into historical costuming grew, and I started finding out more. There was so much new things to learn and different ways of constructing garments than I had gotten used to when sewing just modern clothes. So with historical costuming, there are always new things to learn, new shapes to sew, new techniques to try, and for me that is really the beauty of it. What are your favorite materials to work with? Definitely wool, as it can be worked with iron, it can be shrunk and can be steamed, and it feels nice and warm. The only wool I really hate is wool gabardine, because it doesn't really like water, and I have noticed that it tends to bubble and behave badly. And well, the other drawback with wool is that you cannot really wear thick woolen garments during the summer. What is your dream event or photo shoot opportunity? Well, it would be really nice to be professionally photographed in a historical location. Unfortunately, I can't really afford it, and even if I could, I'd probably just spend the money on fabric. Number 5. Are you team cut or team trace? I'm definitely team trace. I have cut patterns, but usually patterns that I don't really care about. But Finnish magazines always come with these big sheets that you trace your patterns from, and I have gotten used to those, and I'm not even afraid of those bird pattern sheets that look more like spaghetti than something that you could take pattern pieces from. But yeah, I want to save my patterns and adjust the traced patterns and not touch the original ones. I will cut PDF patterns though, and most of the patterns that I nowadays buy are PDF patterns, so you could also put me into team cut. Pins or pattern weights? Pins, because there are pins lying everywhere in my household. Number 7. What fabrics are in an online basket that you would love to buy? Well, this is easy. It would be Viking or medieval wool twill because of the project that I'm planning. How many pieces are lurking in your UFO pile? 2 or 3, and that is because I just worked through the pile of them like 2 months ago. Those 2 or 3 are just projects that I didn't tackle at that time, and that number doesn't take into account non-sewing projects like leatherworking or embroidery. We are not going to talk about those. Number 9. Which era or genre would you still like to make a costume of? Well, anything really. Right now I dream about a gorgeous Victorian tea gown, and I also want to make a Viking age / Iron Age Finnish woman's outfit. And then I just saw this amazing 1840s gown that would be really nice to replicate. But that is something that I probably don't have time for during this year at least. Number 10. What is your favorite tool to use? It's my brass thimble. Unfortunately, I tend to lose it regularly. Number 11. What did you do / learn in the past year that you are most proud of? I learned how the late Victorian / early Edwardian bodices were constructed by studying period pieces, and then I replicated a bodice for my daughter, and I think that is the best project I've done. Number 12. What costume would you like to revisit? My Regency gown. I made a pretty good pair of short stays and a petticoat, but the actual gown I made didn't work out very well because I couldn't find a good enough fabric. So I want to go back and make that gown out of something that people would have actually used during the Regency era. Number 13. Best sewing tool you ever invested in? It would be the collection of pre-waxed silk threads that I have. I have them in multiple colors. I first bought just dark gray one, and when I tried it out I realized that I want to have this thread in all possible colors. Well, about like 6 of them is enough for most projects. I have like bluish black or dark green, gray, white, dark red and beige. I might have dark brown, I'm not sure. But with those colors I can basically sew whatever project I want. I use them for my tailoring work, and basically every time I have to hand sew something, because the silk thread just glides through the fabric and it never tangles because it's pre-waxed. I can just take it out of the spool and just use it. Well, the only drawback is that you actually have to make the spools by yourself because it comes in this big hank. Basically, you have to wind it up yourself, and don't try to wind it up on a ball. It doesn't work because it's so slippery. So I had to order these big wooden spools in order to store my silk thread. But after I did it, I have been so happy, and those threads will last the rest of my life. Number 14. Do you pick a project and then procure materials, or collect materials and let them speak to you? The latter. I can never find a good fabric if I'm specifically looking fabric for a project. I just tend to buy something that is the least bad of all the bad options and that I don't like the result. So I'd rather buy gorgeous fabric when I see it. I have some kind of plan that this is probably going to make a skirt, or this is going to make a nice waistcoat or a blouse. But usually I let the fabric sit in my cupboard for a while until I make something out of it. And number 15. Scissors or rotary blade? Both, depending on the projects. I use scissors the most, but for some fabrics rotary blade is easier, like silk. Number 16. Do you have any sewing assistants / pets? Yes, I have a really cute Russian white dwarf hamster, and also have 2 kids, but I think this was just talking about pets. Number 17. Do you sew over your pins or take them out as you go? Both. It depends on how tricky the seam is. Normally I just take them out, but if the seam is really curved, like the princess body seams or something like that, I'll leave them in and just sew over the pins really carefully. Number 18. Machine sewing. Barefoot, socks or shoes on the pedal? Well, during the summer, barefoot. During the winter, it's socks or slippers. I don't ever wear shoes indoors. Number 19. Do you put your pins in parallel to the seam line you are sewing, or do you pin perpendicular? Depends. If I want to align stripes, I usually put them perpendicular, but normally parallel. Okay, number 20. Tea, coffee or chocolate? Coffee. Definitely coffee. A Big Mac 3 times a day. Number 21. What do you like to watch or listen to while sewing? I listen to historical documentaries and podcasts. So that was that. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell. Bye!